Thank you for joining us at Grateful Gratitude with Lolo and Lexi. We are practicing gratitude girls that strive every day to recognize and celebrate our blessings. We are a mother and daughter that practice gratitude every day and put God in the center of our life. The only way to live a blessed and happy life is to be grateful. May you feel God's love and blessing each and every day.
It is time for another episode of Grateful Gratitude with Lolo and Lexi. And we have talked about happiness. We've talked about finding your purpose in life. And now we're going to talk about the two different types of blessings.
Yes. We did a workshop, I guess I should say a monthly meeting in December that really went over well, and it was talking about blessings. And so we just wanted to quickly talk about that. And, you know, Lexi and I confidently feel that there are just really two types of blessings. We've discussed like Instagram, hashtag blessed and you know, hashtag blessed life. And we feel like that's really overused. So we really wanted to do some research and share what we found about blessings. And the two that we really believe there's what's called an undeserved blessing, which God just gives us because he loves us. And those are, say you get a promotion at work that you hadn't expected, or it's Christmas time and you think you're going to get a $100 bonus check and you get a $1,000 bonus check. Or, you know, maybe you get a new car that you hadn't, thought you were going to get, but somehow found the financing or the money to get it. Those are all instant gratification things. And again, those are things that God just gives us because he loves us. The other one is a holy or spiritual blessing, which God gives out of grace and mercy. For example, a medical healing, someone who's been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer that's metastasized, and then, they start some treatment and all of a sudden the cancer's gone. Or maybe there are family members that haven't spoken for 20 years and all of a sudden they come together and run into each other and they reconcile. Or I always tell the story about I was going to Lexi's house one day and I was on the frontage road and there were no cars around me. I mean, I was just driving down the road and all of a sudden I look up and I was paying attention and there's a car stopped right in front of me. And I just feel my hands on the wheel swerve to the right and go around the car and continue on. That is God definitely taking the wheel. And not a Carrie Underwood song, but
not a bad song though.
No, but it's definitely like where you see that God has done something for you that you couldn't earthly do, and those things bring lasting joy.
A lot of times though, the cynics would say, "Well, didn't God put that car in front of you that you had to swerve out of the way from?" And my answer to that is, okay, yeah, he did. And it gave you perspective.
Right.
I had a very bad car accident. Mm-hmm. I flipped a Ford F-150, depending on the witness, either 3.5 or 4.5 times.
Wow.
And had the cruise control set on 69 miles an hour. Yeah. Was not wearing my seatbelt. Went into that roll, and the only injuries I had were I cut my leg when all the windows blew out, and I cut my leg as I was pulling myself out of the car. And when I landed, the driver's side of the car was in mud. And so there's a bunch of mud in my hair. So when I got out of the car, the first thing I was getting the mud out of my hair, and I cut my hand on the glass that didn't penetrate my skull, right, but it did cut my hand. And when the trooper came to investigate, he obviously asked me if I'd been drinking. And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "Well, yeah, I've been watching you for the last 5 minutes," because I had to gather up all my possessions that hadn't gotten out of the...
Yeah.
And he said, "I've been watching you for the last 5 minutes. You don't seem like someone who is too upset that you just totaled your truck." And I just looked at him and said, "Officer, look at that truck and look at me. This is the greatest day of my life." Mm-hmm. And,
that's so true.
I could say that, that God, caused me to have an accident, but... Well, no, God caused me to have a new reflection on life.
An insight. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lexi and I just talked about this recently, that sometimes God does stuff like that to, number one, wake you up and say, "Hey, I'm here," But I also...
And to help guide you
absolutely,
in his path.
That's a great way to put it. And yeah, you can say, "Well, didn't God put that in front of me?" He did, but he took care of me.
Yes.
So that was part of a learning experience, and that's a whole nother thing that we're going to talk about in another podcast down the road.
And he put it there, but he also, because you went through that, you recognized him.
Right.
So
And I think too, it was a time in my life when I was searching and getting closer to God that it was almost like, I'm just gonna show you I'm always here for you. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's just my interpretation, but to me that's the right one. But I know
I think that's accurate.
Lexi's had some close calls and stuff, and same thing with her, she turns to her faith and not just like you said, Mark, look at that truck and look at me.
Yeah.
So I just think that we need to look at those blessings, and I'm a big believer not using #blessed unless you can say something like, my family member is now free of cancer. That to me, if it's a holy blessing, then #blessed.
Can I tell you guys something that is wrong? I know I'm wrong for doing it, but the only time I use #blessed is when it is obvious that I'm kind of making fun of other people who use #blessed. So, like if I go to Brahms and
I've used that so many times. I feel like I'm one of those people.
Like I'll go to Brahms and get Black Forest Sunday, and I'll take a picture of it and say blessed.
Oh, you're silly. But that's kind of how society's become, and that's why we're kind of drawing attention to what we really feel blessed is.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's not bad, really, if I look at it in a way that people are overusing that. I kind of make fun of it and have fun with it, and I try very hard to not do that.
Yeah.
But if people recognize that they're blessed, all of us are blessed.
We are absolutely blessed. I guess my thing is to use that in special times and maybe #thankful or #grateful
yes.
or use another word. I guess blessed is just
easy to do the #blessed, I guess.
Yeah, because we say it all the time. It's kind of like when we talked about happiness and joy. Happiness is talked about a whole lot, but joy truly is what
Deeper.
We're feeling. Yeah, and so, but yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I just thought it was being used a little superficially. But I'd rather see him say blessed than something else.
Yes.
Something negative. So, Lexi, you have any closing on before we go?
Well, I think just recognizing the blessings in everyday life. I think that's why I was saying I'm one of those that does #blessed a lot, is because I've always done it just more like, I feel like I see my blessings a lot, like just day to day on little things, just like waking up in the morning, or just that my child is healthy. We have our house, things like that. And so that's why I think I say I'm blessed all the time, is because I really notice it on the little things. Because whenever times have been hard, I always think, okay, well, when everything's boring, I'm going to realize like that's a blessing, and that's a great thing. Not, you know what I mean? And so I try to always be, sorry, that's my child. I always try to be aware of that and just day-to-day run-of-the-mill life, because we get so caught up and we don't call to God when it's just everything's fine. We only call to Him we tend to only call to Him whenever we need something, So.
Well, and I think that's a good thing about this podcast is we can all have our opinions and respect each other.
Absolutely.
So, awesome. Well, that was great, Mark. Thanks.
Okay, I usually end these things by promoting social media, but on this one, I just encourage you. You found us. You're listening to us. You probably know where we are on social media, but share this with someone that you think could really use something to brighten their day, brighten their lives.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.